Hi guys, this is Mullen Memory. I'm World Memory Champion Alex Mullen, and in this video we are going to learn the 44 US presidents. So we're going to use this house here as our memory palace. We're going to take them each in chunks of 5, and there's a lot of them, so let's just get right into it right here with our first 5. The first president is George Washington. So for Washington, let's imagine a washing machine, so a Washington washing machine. And just imagine that there's a washing machine right up on top of the rim there, and it's just spilling clothes right down into the hoop. So that's Washington washing machine. Okay, there's this little alley here on the side. That's our second locus. So the next one is Adams. So for John Adams, let's imagine a dam. So Adams, a dam. And just imagine that there's a giant dam splashing water all down that side area there. Okay, our third one is Jefferson. So for Jefferson, I think of that as sounds like a chef, so a Jefferson chef. And so imagine you've got a chef right here, and maybe he's like cooking up some eggs, and then maybe he just throws the eggs right onto the garage door right there, Jefferson chef. Okay, let's take this tree here as our next locus. That one is Madison. So maybe imagine that there's a mad sun, like an angry sun in the sky that's just burning down onto this tree and not allowing it to grow or anything. So it's a Madison mad sun. So our last little locus in this set of 5 here is Monroe. So James Monroe. So maybe imagine that there are men rowing right on top of this car here. So there's men rowing right off the edge of the car. So Monroe, men rowing. So those are our first 5, and let's go on to our next set. Okay, the next president is John Quincy Adams. So we already had Adams just a second ago. So to distinguish that a little bit, let's imagine that there's a dam right on this plant here, a dam, but let's think of it as the Queen's Dam. So for Quincy Adams, Queen's Dam. So you can imagine the Queen, maybe a queen standing right on top of this dam as water spills over these plants here. Okay, the next one is Andrew Jackson. So let's imagine Michael Jackson just standing right up here and just moonwalking right across these steps right there. So that's Andrew Jackson, Michael Jackson. Okay, let's take this bench as our next one. So that would be our 8th president. And so that is going to be Van Buren. So Martin Van Buren. Let's imagine a van for Van Buren. And it's just running a little tiny van, just running right off the edge of this little bench right there. Okay, we got a mail slot here. So for our 9th one, that's William Henry Harrison. So Harrison, I think of hair, so Harrison hair. So just imagine that there's hair filling up this mailbox and just spilling all out of it like that. So our last one, our 10th one, is going to be John Tyler. So Tyler sounds like tire, so Tyler tire. Imagine there's a giant tire just rolling right up and leaving skid marks all over this door and this M right here. So those are our first 10 US presidents. Let's keep going. Now let's use this room here for presidents 11 through 15. So let's start at the bar card here. The next one is James K. Polk. Polk sounds a bit like poke. So imagine you're here, you're excited about the wine, so you poke the wine bottles like this, and imagine one of them just spills over and splashes wine all on the floor. So that's James K. Polk poking the wine bottles. So the next one is Zachary Taylor. So we're gonna use this cabinet setup here. Zachary Taylor, Taylor reminds me of Taylor Swift. So imagine Taylor Swift is right here, just like singing a concert out for all the people here to listen to. So it's Zachary Taylor, Taylor Swift with a concert right here. Let's use this one as the next one. It's Millard Fillmore. So Fillmore kind of sounds like you're filling something up. So just imagine that you've got a bunch of coins, a bunch of money, and you're just filling each of these lights up with coins. So Millard Fillmore filling up the lights like this. Okay, so let's use the table for the next one. The next one is Franklin Pierce. Pierce to me sounds like, you're piercing something maybe with a sword. So imagine you've got a giant sword and you're just piercing right into the table like that. Franklin Pierce, piercing the table right here. Okay, so we're gonna move on to number 15. That's James Buchanan. So let's use this right here. Imagine you've got a miniature cannon for James Buchanan, just propped right here, and maybe it shoots out a cannonball and just blasts the flowers right here apart. So that's James Buchanan cannon right here. So that's 11 through 15. Let's keep going. We'll use this area here for 16 through 20. 16 is Lincoln, Abraham Lincoln. So maybe for Lincoln, let's just imagine one of his tall black hats. So hopefully that's a good enough image for you for Lincoln. So let's wrap that hat, right on this sink nozzle here. And you can imagine you're pouring the water into it and maybe it's filling up the hat for Lincoln. Okay, let's use this coffee pot here for Andrew Johnson. So Johnson kind of makes me think of Johnson & Johnson, like a baby oil or something like that. So imagine instead of coffee, you're brewing a steaming pot of baby oil, Johnson & Johnson baby oil right here for Andrew Johnson. Okay, so the next one is Grant, Ulysses S. Grant. So let's use the fridge and imagine that it's just a big granite fridge, so Grant granite, and you're pulling open these granite doors and just feeling the cool air, wash onto you. So Grant granite doors for the fridge here. Okay, the next one is Rutherford B. Hayes. Hayes sounds a bit like hay. So imagine you're opening up the microwave and there's a bale of hay just stuffed right in there getting microwaved. Rutherford B. Hayes, hay, right in the microwave. All right, let's use the oven as the last one here for number 20. It's Garfield. So imagine the cat Garfield. The orange cat is just stuffed right in here and he's really annoyed because he's been stuffed and about to be cooked in the oven. So that is Garfield. Okay, keep going. All right, so let's use this little area here for 21 through 25. So we're gonna start with this trash can right here. The next one is Chester A. Arthur. So Arthur makes me think of Arthur the Anteater from that old kids TV show. So imagine you're opening up the trash can and Arthur the Anteater is stuck in there and he's really annoyed because it smells really bad and you help him out of the trash can. So Chester A. Arthur in the trash can right there. All right, let's use this doggy bowl for the next one. It's Grover Cleveland. So Cleveland sounds to me like cleaver, like a big knife cleaver. So imagine that we're taking a cleaver and we're just, chopping this doggy bowl right in half cleanly into two pieces with a, Grover Cleveland cleaver. So the next one, let's take the window right here. It's Benjamin Harrison. So we actually already had a Harrison with William Henry Harrison and we used hair. So let's do something a little bit different to distinguish those two. Let's imagine that one of these blinds is a long bench and there's hair covering the bench. So it's a, bench hair, Benjamin Harrison. All right, so that's that one. Again, so Grover Cleveland comes back again and he's the 22nd and 24th president. So let's imagine another cleaver just stuck, right into this table. Maybe imagine that you're cleaving the entire table into two separate pieces. Grover Cleveland cleaver again. The last one here, 25, is, let's use this right here, this whiteboard. It's William McKinley. So McKinley is kind of a tricky name if you've never heard it before. So let's break it up a little bit. So Mickey Mouse, let's Mickey Mouse kind of to start it off, and then maybe he's using this whiteboard and breaking it apart and using it as kindling. So Mickey Mouse using it as kindling, so McKinley, in that image right there. So that's number 25. Okay, so right now I am going to pass it over to my other half, my wife Cathy, to take you on from 26 through 44 of the US presidents.
Okay, thanks Alex. So the next one we have is Theodore Roosevelt, so Teddy Roosevelt. So just imagine a teddy bear here trying on all the different types of shoes. So Teddy Roosevelt, Theodore Roosevelt trying on shoes. The next one is William Taft. So Taft sounds like taffy, taffy. So imagine you're just stuffing a bunch of taffy here in your white coats for later, just for an emergency. Taffy in the white coat. Next we have Woodrow Wilson. So we're gonna use this brown door right here. Just imagine Woodrow Wilson sounds like Willy Wonka. Woodrow Wilson, Willy Wonka. So Willy Wonka has created this brown chocolate door and Willy Wonka, Woodrow Wilson, is licking the chocolate. Next we have Warren Harding. So imagine a hard hat in this basket. So Harding, hard hat. So it's kind of dangerous to fold your laundry, so you need to wear a hard hat, Harding, when you're folding your laundry. The next one is Calvin Coolidge. So we'll use this washing machine right here. Coolidge kind of sounds like cool. So just imagine maybe Calvin Coolidge wants to cool his arm. So he just sticks his arm in this really cool washing machine. Calvin Coolidge, cool. So we'll go on to this next room for our next 5. The next one we have is Herbert Hoover. So Hoover kind of sounds like hooves of horses or, cows. So just imagine a horse on this dresser right here, just like galloping, and it's making this sound, and then it knocks over this candle, so just hooves on this dresser. Herbert Hoover. The next one we have is FDR, so Franklin D. Roosevelt. Imagine a rose, just a bunch of roses right here on this chair, and maybe you bend down and you smell it, and remember a chair, FDR had to sit in a chair a lot, so that should help you remember Franklin D. Roosevelt. The next one we have is Harry Truman. So Truman sounds like trombone. So we're gonna use this curtain right here, Truman trombone. Maybe someone blasts the trombone and it kind of makes this curtain like swoosh away. So Truman trombone. Next we have Dwight Eisenhower. So Eisenhower eyes. So the eyes of Eisenhower are on each of these blades on this ceiling fan here. So maybe each blade has an eye for Eisenhower. And then the next one in this room is Kennedy. So JFK, John F. Kennedy, Kennedy Ken doll. Maybe imagine a life-size Ken doll just laid out on this bed, getting his beauty sleep. John F. Kennedy Ken doll. So we'll go to our next room. Okay, so our next president is Lyndon B. Johnson. So we're gonna go ahead and use these steps here. When I think of Lyndon B. Johnson, I think of London, London, and London reminds me of Big Ben, the clock tower. And so why don't we just imagine a big clock tower right here to remind us of London. So when I'm coming down the steps, I have to step around this London tower and London. So that's how I'll remember Lyndon B. Johnson. Our next president is Richard Nixon. Nixon sounds like Nix. So we'll just go ahead and use this TV and imagine a giant X to Nix, to remind you to Nix, so Nixon. Our next president is Gerald Ford. A Ford reminds me of a Ford truck. So why don't we use this couch and imagine picking it up and putting it in the truck bed of a Ford truck. So Ford for Gerald Ford, Ford truck on this couch. Next is Jimmy Carter. So cart sounds like shopping cart. So instead of this chair being at this desk, imagine just a shopping cart pushed under the desk and you have to sit in the shopping cart every time you work on the computer. So shopping cart for Jimmy Carter. Last one in this room is President Ronald Reagan. Reagan sounds like regal, like a really regal king. So let's imagine this painting is a priceless painting of President Ronald Reagan as a regal king with maybe a crown and a scepter, and he's painted in a very regal manner for Ronald Reagan. All right, so we're gonna go do our last 4 presidents in the backyard. Okay, so for our last few presidents, we're out here on the deck. Let's go ahead with George H.W. Bush. We'll use this grill right here. So Bush reminds me of like a bush. So we'll just imagine that we've taken a bush, it's right here, it's growing in this grill, and it's just bursting into flames because we're grilling a bush for George H.W. Bush. And for the last few presidents, since we kind of know what they look like, you know, the other ones, we might not actually have a good sense of what these presidents look like, but since we do know these next few presidents, I'm just gonna go ahead and use these actual presidents at the loci to help us remember them. So the next person was Bill Clinton. So why don't we imagine Bill Clinton sitting on this porch swing, maybe with Monica Lewinsky, and they're just swinging back and forth and enjoying the nice day. Next person was George W. Bush. So let's go up here. Imagine George W. Bush he's afraid of heights. He's up there at the top. Maybe he's shaking. He's trying to walk on the little slat without falling off and thinking, oh, you know, I really don't want to fall off, but how do I get down from here? So that's George W. Bush up there. Next, we have President Obama, Barack Obama. So I often think of him with his daughters. So let's just imagine him sliding down the roof right here with both of his girls. So President Barack Obama sliding down the roof. And last we have Hillary Clinton here at this chair. So maybe she's just leaning back, lounging, relaxing, sunbathing after her victory over Donald Trump. So there you have it. We have all 45 presidents. And what we're gonna do is re-show the different loci where we memorized each president. And hopefully this will help you review and remember the order of the presidents.